E20 fuel in India, scam or solution? Friends, the Modi government has suddenly rolled out E20 fuel across India. This is petrol mixed with 20% ethanol. But here's the shocking part. People were not given any choice. Whether you want it or not, you have to fill your car or bike with this. And now, on social media, many are calling this a big scam. Let's break it down in simple words. What is ethanol? Ethanol is basically alcohol. Yes, the same alcohol that is in liquor bottles. But instead of drinking, this alcohol can also be used as a biofuel. Ethanol is made from crops like sugarcane, maize, and rice. Among these, sugarcane is the most effective because it gives the highest yield. Even spoiled crops can be used to make ethanol. Since ethanol is alcohol, it's made poisonous by mixing methanol and other substances so that people don't drink it. Why mix ethanol into petrol? There are two main reasons. Environment gives ethanol helps petrol burn better and causes less pollution. Studies show ethanol can cut greenhouse gas emissions by up to 65% compared to petrol. Economy gives petrol comes from crude oil, which India imports by spending billions. Ethanol, on the other hand, can be made in India itself from farmers' crops. That's why many countries mix ethanol with petrol. The journey of ethanol in India. India started ethanol blending in 2003 with just 5%. Progress was slow. In 2014, it was only 1.5%. After BJP came to power, the target was raised. First to 10%, then to 20% by 2030. But suddenly the government pushed this ahead of time and launched E20 fuel nationwide in 2025, 5 years earlier than planned. Sounds like success, right? But here's where the problems begin. Problems with E20 fuel. As soon as people started using E20, complaints flooded in. Mileage dropped, maintenance costs increased. Fuel expenses went up. Why? Because ethanol gives 30% less energy than petrol. That means more fuel is needed to travel the same distance. The government says the mileage drop is just 1–2% in E20 compatible vehicles, but many users report fuel expenses rising by up to 40%. And the biggest issue, most Indian vehicles are not E20 compatible. Ethanol absorbs water and causes rust. It also damages fuel tanks, pipes, and rubber parts, especially in bikes and older cars. Companies like Hyundai, Renault, and Toyota had already warned that E20 could damage non-compatible vehicles, but still, it was pushed ahead.
Who benefits? Here comes the controversial part. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari has always promoted ethanol. His family owns sugar plants that produce ethanol. Today, his sons run ethanol companies whose profits have skyrocketed. So critics say this policy benefits politicians, families, and businessmen, while the common man suffers higher cost. And this is not the first time. Amit Shah's son in cricket boards, Arun Jaitley's son in associations, Rajnath Singh's son in federations, political families always seem to benefit. What about the people? The government claims E20 has 3 benefits: eco-friendly and reduces pollution, saves money by cutting crude imports 1.36 lakh crore save, helps farmers by creating demand for sugarcane and other crops. All these are true, but here's the catch. None of the savings reach the common people. Petrol prices have not dropped. Instead, people now pay the same for fuel but get less mileage and more repair bills. In fact, when E10 was launched, Gadkari had promised petrol would cost 55 per liter. Later, he even said petrol could drop to 15 per liter with ethanol, but nothing like that happened. The Brazil example supporters of E20 often point to Brazil, where ethanol fuel has been a success. But Brazil took 50 years to build the right infrastructure, vehicles, and market. India tried to do it in just 5 years, without proper preparation and without giving people a choice. That's why it feels forced and unfair. What should have been done? Instead of rushing, the government should have followed the 2030 timeline, given choice between regular petrol and ethanol petrol, passed savings to people by lowering petrol prices. In short, all vehicles on the road were E20 ready before rollout. Conclusion: E20 fuel is not a bad idea. In fact, it's good for the environment, the economy, and farmers. But the way it was pushed is where the problem lies. Today, ordinary people are forced to spend more, while politically connected families earn huge profits. So the question remains, is E20 really for the environment? Or is it another policy designed to benefit a few and burden the many?